You're on mute, Megha Mataji, if you're speaking.
Oh, sorry. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Thank you everyone for joining. We will, today we'll have Chintamani Mataji and Radhe Mataji. So Chintamani Mataji will be glorifying and presenting Canto 1, Chapter 19. And Radhe Mataji will be glorifying and presenting for Canto 2, Chapter 1. Chintamani Mataji, I know you had, 3 different classes that you were leading today. The morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. I just came from, Prabhupada Lilamrita class that you were also in there. And now this one. So I don't know how you do it, but I hope I can get just even a smidge of your dedication and devotion. That's amazing. I don't know how you did this, but it's amazing. And Radhe Mataji, again, this is the 3rd time that Radhe Mataji has come forward and accepted the service again when we were not able to find someone to glorify this chapter 1 in Canto 2. So that was also last minute. So both devotees, thank you so much for your services today. This is really great. I hope I can get a little bit of the mercy of Krishna to have even the devotion and dedication that you both have shown. So Hare Krishna. With that, we'll get started.
Thank you, Megha Mataji. I think you have enough of devotion. You don't have to say, you don't have to, and again, you're showing so much humility. So I hope I get some of that. Megha Mataji, you've been doing a wonderful job with this, leading this initiative as well. So thank you so much for leading it consistently and following up with us, making sure we're prepared and ready. So do we start? We start with prayers?
Yes, Mataji, please start with prayers, yeah.
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagnatam Sajivam Sadhavit Savadotam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Krishna Karuna Sindhu Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Swami Priya Vanchakalpataru Vasin Vacha Patitana Pavan Vaishnava Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama 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 Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you so much. Like Navati just said, I haven't really had a chance to prepare a lot, so I don't have a deck. I'm sorry, but I will try to summarize the best of my ability. So we're talking about the appearance of Shukadev Goswami, which is chapter 19 from the first canto. Now, before this, in chapter 18, we had heard that Maharaj Parikshit, the one who had been saved by Krishna and had seen Krishna in the womb of his mother, got really thirsty in the forest while he was hunting and went into Shamak Rishi's hut. And while Shamak Rishi was in a trance, he was not really able to serve him in any way. And being extremely thirsty, somehow he was inspired to put a snake a dead snake on the neck of Shamik Rishi. And when that news came out, Shamik Rishi's son cursed Parikshit Maharaj that he would die by the bite of a snake bird within 7 days. So that's where this chapter kind of starts. So just the flow of the chapter, just so that we can follow along, is that Parikshit Maharaj starts to, once he gets home, he starts to regret what happened. He kind of accepts he learns about the curse, accepts the curse, and moves on. He actually installs his son Janmejaya as the king and swiftly goes to the banks of Ganga and starts to fast until his death. And at that time, the great sages appear. Parikshit Maharaj receives them with, with great humility. And Shukadev Goswami then appears into the assembly as well. Parikshit Maharaj receives Shukadev Goswami. There's beautiful description of Shukadev Goswami. So we'll go into a little detail. And then once Shukadev Goswami settles, Parikshit Maharaj starts to inquire from him. So now we are talking about the two main personalities and characters of the Bhagavatam, from whom we have received the Bhagavatam. So that's Shukadev Goswami. So far it was basically introduction, building up to the stage when we are going to actually hear the Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami. So Maharaj Parikshit became very regretful. He was thinking, how could I have done something so uncivilized against a harmless Brahman? So this just, from an instructional standpoint, a devotee, first of all, usually a devotee does not do any heinous act, but if he by accident does something, this is the kind of regret that he feels. In fact, Prabhupada says that by the grace of the Lord, all sins unwillingly committed by a devotee are burnt in the fire of repentance. So, so Parikshit Maharaj was like, I must expect some calamity, that he was wanting some calamity so that nobody else but he would suffer for his acts. And at that point, Shamik Rishi sent word that, he had been cursed and that he was going to die within 7 days. So Parikshit Maharaj, again, given the devotee that he was, he took it as good news, right? He had no sense of revenge, that how could someone curse me for death for something as small as this? None of that, right? And he was already repenting and he welcomed this. And for him, it was like he received advance notice and he could now prepare for his death, right? So Parikshit Maharaj made his son Janmejaya king, and he went to the banks of the Ganga, which is called Amurtya Nadya. I mean, there is some, I guess, conflict about whether this is Ganga or Yamuna, but in the purport, it goes on to say it is Ganga. And he fasts, so he takes a vow to fast, and basically concentrate his mind on the lotus feet of Krishna, and basically, with the understanding that that is the highest goal, and it supersedes everything else. So Parikshit Maharaj, again, the instructive thing for us there is that devotees accept any kind of reversals as graciously as good fortunes that happen to them, right? And devotees do accept reversals as a mercy of Krishna, as an opportunity. So at that point, once he puts his mind to it, and he has basically firmly sat on the banks of Ganga, somehow all the various sages from all different parts of the universe start to gather there. And of course, there wasn't any internet or telegrams or anything at that point, but somehow there, the message kind of spreads all through the universe, and great sages of the caliber of Chavana, Arishtamaneni, Bhigu, Daipayana, Narada Rishi, Vishwamitra, Vashishta. I mean, Vashishta was from the previous yuga. Right? So all Devarshis, Brahmarshis, all kind of come and gather because they want to meet Maharaj Parikshit. They know that something great is going to happen there, and they want to kind of be a part of that. Right? So Maharaj Parikshit receives them very humbly and submits himself to the assembled sages, feeling very fortunate. He says that, I'm just so fortunate that I'm getting these favors from great souls like you, because normally royalty is rejected by sages, because they are considered to be more passionate and the kind that is indulging in fruitive activities, etc. And he says, so humbly, he says that because I've been too attached to family life, the Lord has saved me by putting me in this predicament. He doesn't call it predicament, but he said this put me in this situation so that I will be able to detach myself from this world. And he prays to the sages that they pray, they sing about Vishnu, right? And that, so that he can hear about the Lord and as he surrenders his soul. So, and he also says that if I were to take birth again in the material world, he prays that he can have attachment to the unlimited Lord Krishna. He can have association with devotees and friendly relations with all living beings. So he's not even looking for liberation. There's no complaint. The things that he's asking for are again so elevated. So, the demigods and sages are all very, very satisfied in seeing Parikshit's manner, the way he's accepting this, and he's going about the last few days of his life. The demigods shower flowers on the earth, and there are actually very few occasions when the demigods have showered flowers on the earth.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Hare Krishna. I don't know if it's just on my end, but your voice is breaking up. Is anyone else having the same?
Yes, Mataji, same thing.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So yeah, I mean, it was like that before, but now it got a little worse. So that's why I stopped you. Sorry to stop you.
Okay. Well, don't know what to do. I guess it's the.
I don't know if you want to stop your video and maybe it might help.
Sure. Is it any better?
Same. I don't know. I don't know yet.
Okay. Well, let me go ahead.
Yeah.
Right. So, yeah. So the sages and the demigods are very appreciative of Parikshit Maharaj and what he proposes to do. And Parikshit Maharaj praises the sages that it's so kind of you all to have assembled here, because you are as good as the Vedas personified, and naturally you are inclined to do good to others, and basically saying that that's why you are here for me, because that I don't really deserve to have such great personalities like you. And Parikshit then asks a couple of questions to them. He says that, please tell me of the unalloyed duty of everyone in all circumstances, and secondly, specifically of dying person. And of course, these are the two questions two main questions that are dealt with throughout the Bhagavatam, chapter 2 onwards. Now, at this stage, Shukadev Goswami arrives there. Okay, and he is, his description, the description of him is really amazing. The Goswami is talking about that. He's kind of like an avaduta. He's 16 years old. He has very tender limbs, feet, hands, arms, forehead. He has wide eyes, raised nose, symmetrical ears, and so on. His bodily hue is like that of Lord Krishna. And so his, historically, in his previous birth, he was actually Lila Shuka, he was the parrot of Radha. And he was one of the lead parrots that were part of all the leelas of Krishna. So he was a very, very accomplished personality. And although he was, he tried to cover his natural glories, but it was very clear that he was a great person. And all the sages, and we talked about sages that were from the Dwapar Yuga, from a previous yuga, like Vashishta. Vishwamitra was a Brahmarshi, Narada Devarshi, right? So all of them were there in that assembly, and everyone got up to honor him, except of course his father Vyasdev and Narad, who was Narad Muni, who was the spiritual master of his father. But that's the kind of personality that he was. So Parikshit Maharaj too gets up and receives Shukadev Goswami, who is basically designated as the chief guest at that point. And everybody, again, in spite of all of the other sages being such accomplished personalities, amidst all of them, he appeared like a moon as the stars. Everybody respected him. And everybody agreed that it should be Shukadev Goswami who, answers those questions and basically speaks the Bhagavatam. So Parikshit Maharaj glorifies Shukadev Goswami profusely, saying that by your mercy and presence only, you have sanctified us, made us like places of pilgrimage. We are unworthy royalty. With your presence and mercy, we become eligible to serve the devotee. And then he says, simply by remembering you, our houses become sanctified. What to speak of seeing you, touching you, washing your feet, and offering you a seat. And that just by your mere presence, the greatest sins of a person are immediately vanquished, just as atheists are vanquished in the Lord's presence. And he says that Lord Krishna has orchestrated this because he is so affectionate to his cousins, the Pandavas, that he has orchestrated that Shukadev Goswami appear, to Parikshit Maharaj during his last days. So again, Parikshit Maharaj's sense of humility is just so great. And at that point, then he asks questions. So his questions again are: show the way of perfection for all persons, especially for one who is about to die. He specifically says that, please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and also what he should not do. And he again talks about Shukadev Goswami as being the person who doesn't even stay in the houses of grihasthas long enough to milk a cow and give him a pot of milk. That's how renounced he is. Basically praise to him to answer those questions and speak of the Lord. So Shukadev Goswami accepts and he starts his reply. So chapter 2 onwards is Shukadeva Goswami's response to Parikshit Maharaj's questions. So that is it. I went over. Thank you, Hare Krishna. Athena.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I don't know if you're speaking right now. I can't.
Oh, you can't hear me at all?
Now I can. I
Okay.
couldn't hear you in the just a couple of seconds ago.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Such beautiful summary of chapter 19. And you know, last time I had done this chapter 18, and just the stories of you know, Parikshit Maharaj, how humble he is, and you know, when you know, it specifically says that devotees accept all the reversals as good news, and you know, as a mercy of Krishna. So that is what is showing this, you know, the tolerance of Parikshit Maharaj, which is so great that he's not cursing back. He's not even thinking, why me, to, you know, asking the Lord about why me or anything. Instead, he's actually so humble, saying, you know, he committed some offense like this, and even though for such a small offense, he got such a big, you know, curse. He didn't think anything of it, which is so, you know, that's great humbleness from him. And then also that he is, you know, appreciative of, and you know, of the sages, that he's allowed to go there, because typically sages do not, you know, associate with royalty, as you said. So everything, you know, he's not ever thinking, even for a second, that why did this happen to him, or you know, what he's going to do. And his questions are not about why these things happen to me, but yet his questions are about how he can proceed to go back to Krishna, even at that time. You know, he's not thinking what I'm going to do, how everything's going to happen. It's just so beautiful. So thank you so much for summarizing, Mataji, and glorifying chapter 19. We will proceed with Canto 2, Chapter 1 by Radhe Mataji. Please, Radhe Mataji, go ahead. Take over the call.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'll get started with the prayers and then we'll go ahead with the chapter. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Shushrusha Shradanashya Vasudeva Kada Rushishyan Vashevaya Vipra Punyatitani Shevanat Shrunvatam Swakada Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanaha Ritiyantostiya Patrani Vidunoti Suhursadam Nashtaprayeshu Patreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttam Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Tadaraja Bhava Kamalopada Yashaye Chetaye Terana Vittam Stitvam Satve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manaso Bhagavat Bhakti Yogataha Bhagavat Tattva Jnanam Mukta Sankarsha Jayate Pratyante Hridaya Kranti Shityante Sarva Samshayaga Shiyante Shasya Karmani Drishta Evatmanishware Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So today we are going to see about Canto 2, Chapter 1. So hold on, let me share my screen so that. Okay, this is the first step in God realization. So this is what we are going to talk about. So as Mataji has ended, there was like 3 questions, Parikshit Maharaj is asking question to Shukadeva Goswami. So please tell me what a person should hear, chant, remember and worship, what he is not supposed to do. So Shukadeva Goswami is going to answer in this chapter with all his information regarding the Lord and his Virat Rupa, what we have seen in Bhagavad Gita chapter 11, all the information he's going to give it to in this thing. So So the first one is like the text one starts with Shukadev Swami actually appreciating Parikshit Maharaj, because he is saying that the question which you asked is very wonderful question, and it is going to benefit everyone, because this is the process of progressing towards God realization. So he's also saying that the questions you asked is actually going, the answer to that question is going to be a supreme subject matter. So I'm going to tell you about all the things which is very important, and he is actually going to talk about Lord's Virat Rupa and the Ashtanga Yoga personally, actually. So he's congratulating the Parikshit Maharaj for asking this wonderful question. So in text 2 and 3 and 4, actually, he says, like, he started with like what person should not do, and then he answers like what a person should do. So in this text, actually, like he talks about like householders are normally divided into two types. One is like grahasthas, and one is the other one is grahameti. And grahametis are like a person who is very who doesn't have a knowledge about the ultimate truth. And they don't have like they don't understand the purpose of the life, purpose of human life. So how do they spend their time? Is like during the nights they sleep and they enjoy sense gratification, and in the night, in the daytime, they try to earn a lot of money and want to spend time with the family and take care of the family. So because of that, like they have that attachment, and they believe that the myself and my surrounding, my friends, my wife, my family is very important, and they get really attached to them. They have that attachment towards that material things, and though they are seeing around them like people are dying and people are going through suffering, but they actually like even though they see, they cannot actually see that destruction is going to come to them. They always think like no, I'm going to be, my family is going to take care of me, and I'm going to take care of my family, and I'm going to have a happy life, and they plan for their material enjoyment and material life, how I have to enjoy in tomorrow or like next year. So that is how like their thing is like they always are like they don't get the knowledge about Vedas, and they are like a proper, we can say like karmis, and they want to enjoy everything. So the next text is like Shukadeva Goswami says like what is that a person should chant, hear and remember. So the first thing like what is that is like you have to hear about Supreme Lord, and basically the thing is like everybody in this material world is actually fearful of death. And like though like a lot of people like just for the sake of saying, they'll say like I'm not worried about my death and all that, but everyone is very fearful of death. And Maharaj Parikshit is in situation that he knows like when his death is. So Shukadeva Goswami is actually telling, in order to get freedom from fear and miseries, and in order to get the fear of death, one has to actually hear, glorify and remember Lord. And then in this things actually like he talks about, like Prabhupada talks about like 3 types of bhakti, like where it is there is a type of bhakti where people have a desire for liberation. The other people is like Raganuga Bhakti. They are actually very greedy, and they want to fix in devotion. And the other one is the Vaidika Bhakti, which is they want to hear about Lord, like the Supreme Controller, which is the Ishvara. They want to remember. So in order to get free from fear and miseries, actually like we have to continuously remember. That's what like Prabhupada said with it. So the 6th verse, 6th through 9th verse is actually like he is glorifying the Bhakti Yoga. Like he's telling like what is the highest perfection of life. Like the highest perfection of life is like at the time of death, we have to remember the Lord. Like even in a lot of places we'll see like we are all actually preparing for our exam. Our exam is the death. So when we will be able to remember Krishna, we actually pass. Otherwise, we are actually going to the cycle of birth and death, and we don't know in what species we will be landing up next life. So it's only like we have to pass, we don't have to fail, right? So what the highest perfection, we have to achieve it, and that is the main reason for this bhakti process, right? So this actually like is actually proved by a lot of sages, and this is even like Shukadeva Goswami tells, he's telling about his own example. He's actually saying like even I was an impersonalist, and like we, most of us know the story of Shukadeva Goswami. He didn't take birth till 16 years, and he was in the womb of Vyasadev's wife. And then Krishna has to come and promise to him that the material things won't affect you. So that's after that only he is right, okay to come out of the womb of his mother. So he was, as soon as he came out of the womb of the mother, he actually ran out to the forest. Actually, he doesn't want to stay with his parents, and because of the separation from Shukadeva Goswami, actually Vyasadeva is feeling that separation, and he started calling out, and because of it, like the trees and all started answering. So there is like two different type of stories, like trees were mentioning, and one thing is like one of the like a hunter actually told the story, like different versions are there, so we'll not go into that. So it's like Shukadeva Goswami actually here two verses from Bhagavatam. We can see like one verses I can quote, like it is third canto, second chapter, it's 34th verse, I think. So it's like very beautiful verse where it talks about um, like it's like a third canto, second chapter and 23rd verse, and 10th canto, 21st chapter and 5th text. So which tells like the first one, like the third canto thing actually says like Krishna is actually giving liberation to Putana. Actually like he is so merciful that he is able to give mercy by giving her a position equal to the mother in Goloka Vrindavan. So that is the first verse, and the second verse about like how Krishna is decorating himself, like with a peacock feather in his head, and then how he is having a flower in his ears, and then yellow garment he's wearing, and how an garland he is wearing. So it's like by hearing that, actually like Shukadeva Goswami, though he's totally into impersonalist concept of the thing, and as soon as he heard this verses, he actually like felt like, oh, I have to see that person, I have to hear about that person. So then he started asking who was telling this verses, and everyone actually pointed to Vyasadeva, which is the father of Shukadeva Goswami. So Shukadeva Goswami actually went to Vyasadeva to learn this literature, actually Srimad Bhagavatam. So he's like totally fixed in Brahma, who got attracted towards the pastimes and the nature of Lord, and then he was moving towards that bhakti process, right? So, and then in 10 and 11 verses, there is an importance of Harinam's Kirtanam is happening. So it's like mentioned, like when a person is continuously hearing, when you have that faith in hearing, you actually develop an unflinching faith towards the Lord. So, and then when you are continuously chanting, actually you're going to progress towards the fearlessness, which is what Shukadeva Goswami is continuously telling, like you don't have to fear, you have time, you can progress in the correct way where you have to proceed. So this two text actually talks about that. And then in text 12 and 14 is actually encouraging Parikshit Maharaj. He says like the quality of the life is important than quantity. You don't have to live for like thousands of years. You have to live a you can live a short time, but with a proper time, right? So he says like even one Mugurta lifetime is with a proper mindset and proper engagement, we will be able to progress towards Krishna. So we'll be ending up with the destination where we want to go, right? So he's actually mentioning the example of Katmanga Maharaj. So actually like most of us know the story, like he was fighting with the demons and he was asking for benediction from the demigods, and demigods like they say like they can give any benediction other than giving him going back to Goloka, right? So the thing which they can't do it because they don't even have it, because they're also belong to material world, right? So so they gave like he asked like, when am I going to die? So they said like in a moment in heaven planet is almost like 24 minutes here, and By the time he reaches, it was almost 12 minutes is over. So immediately he handed over all his kingdom and he sat in one place, and then he fixed his mind in the lotus feet of the Lord, and he got liberation within a minute, within a second, actually. Like his thing is like within a minute it happened. So he's actually, Shukadev Goswami is actually telling Maharaj Parikshit, like he did it in like a very short time. So you have enough time. You have 7 days. You can do necessary arrangement to go back to your destination. You can, like where you have to go. So you can make that arrangement to go back there. So then he started talking about the Ashtanga Yoga. Like he's going to say all the process, and the first thing he starts with is an Ashtanga Yoga, where in this process, like you have to actually cut off all your material desires. So you have to have that detachment. Without that, you will not be able to progress in it. So that's the first thing he talks, and so we'll split one by one and see. So like in 16 to 19, like 15 to 39, so we are going to split into, and then we'll see. Like from 16 to 19, he actually talks about the 8 limbs of yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, like where, as you can see in the picture, like it starts with Yama, which is the top one, and then it moves to Samadhi. So Hema is like, normally this procedure is like people leave their house and they practice self-control, and then they take bath in a sacred place, and then they sit in a secluded place, and then in a very sanctified place they sit, and they always remember Om, and they regulate their breathing. They have to withdraw their mind from sense activity. Like you cannot enjoy your senses during this when you are engaging in this Ashtanga Yoga process. And then he talks about Dharana. So from Dharana we'll be talking in depth, because where it comes like your mind is going to get fixed. Mind with an intelligence, you're going to fix it in the Lord's form. So Dhyana is like you're going to meditate on every limbs of the Lord. And then Samadhi is like you're going to completely reconcile the mind towards Vishnu. You don't have any other thoughts during that time. So that is where we'll be slowly progressing. So as I said, the Dharana is like where we will be starting, because it starts till that time. It will be like how you're going to do, how you're going to sit, how you're going to withdraw from senses, all that. But when Dharana starts, it's where the Lord comes into picture, right? So it's like the fixing your attention towards Lord, right? So that's where it starts. So Dharana is like an unwavering concentration. Like you cannot like deviate here and there, and you have to like 100% fixed on that stuff. So it's like what are the effects which will happen due to Dharana is like it actually destroys all the contaminations of your brain. And then when you are in Rajas, like as we all know, like Rajas, Tamas, and when you are in that mood, it actually you get agitated, and that thing will be destroyed when you are engaged in Dharana. And then when you are in Tamas Guna, then you actually are always bewildered. That is also destroyed when you're doing your yoga process in Dharana thing. So in this thing, like this is where the yogis will be able to see Paramatma, and they will be able to achieve their liberation. And for yogis, their desired goal is like liberation, which they will do. They'll get it by this Dharana stage itself. So then Maharaj Parikshit, like he stops Parikshit Maharaj, and he started asking like, okay, you said like it's Dharana is like this. Can you help me understand? And he puts 3 questions. And the thing which we have to understand is like, even though like Maharaj Parikshit is asking this question, he is actually asking out of his curiosity. It's not like he's going to follow this procedure. It is his curiosity question. So he's asking like, how is Dharana can be accomplished, and what are the bona fide Dharana Shaya? So what is that I have to concentrate during my meditation? So for that you will get answers continuously, and then you will have answer in the next chapter also, like in the 12th verse, next chapter, like chapter 2 verse 12, you will get an answer for like how an advanced yogi is concentrating on Paramatma, and he is going through this procedure. And the third question he is asking like how to quickly remove the contamination if I'm doing this thing. So for that Parikshit Shukadev Goswami is answering. So the text first thing is like you have to meditate. How to accomplish dharana is like as I have mentioned, like it's a preliminary. You have to actually concentrate on all the parts of the yoga, and then you have to meditate on the Lord. That is how like you achieve that thing. The dharana is like you cannot concentrate on anything other than Lord. You have to 100% concentrate on the Lord. So that's how like you accomplish dharana. And then he said like, what is the object of my meditation, right? So that question is answered in 24 and 25 text, where he talks about a new person who wants to get liberation, like a new yogi, like he doesn't have any like he is not in an advanced stage, like a new person, he enters into the yoga process. He actually, they giving like an procedure, like they have to meditate on Virat Rupa of the Lord. Virat Rupa is nothing but a cross material form of the Lord. And like why it is being procedure is advanced yogis, they concentrate on Paramatma, who's in the heart of every living entity. But since this people is like very new and they don't have that advanced knowledge of yoga, they actually concentrate on Virat Rupa procedure. So that's what is recommended for them. It's actually like why it is recommended is like it removes all the attractions and the repulsion from a person. So that's the main reason why this is recommended for neophyte yogis. And then this is where like our best things comes up, where he talks about like different limbs of Lord, and how the Virat Rupa is existing in different planetary system. So he says like all this planetary system, like from Patala to Satyaloka, are different limbs of the Lord. Like Patala Loka is actually the bottom feet of the Lord, and Rastala is heel and toes, and our earth, we can say it is hip of the Lord, and Bhuvar is like navel of the Lord, and Swarga is the chest of the Lord, and Mahaloka is neck of the Lord, and Satyaloka is actually head of the Lord. So the entire universe is actually inside the Virat Rupa, and it is one of the limbs of Lord. And then he talks about like how he's further represented in text 29. He talks like his arms are actually demigods, and ears are actually the organ of hearing. And like how organ of hearing is working for the materialist person is like we are hearing the sound. And then the nostrils is like guarded by the Devata Ashwini Kumara, and they are in charge of organ of smelling. And then organ of smelling, as we all know, like it is for the fragrance. We can smell like, is it a good smell or a bad smell? All that thing will come in the picture. And then mouth is actually the blazing fire. And in text 30, he talks about the other limbs, like in his eyes actually. Eye pits is actually the outer space, and eyeballs is the sun, and eyelids are day and night. Like when Krishna opens his eye, actually it's a day, and Krishna closes his eyes, it is night. So that is depending on the thing, and its movement of eyebrows is an abode of Brahma actually. So the palate has like Varuna, and the tongue is for tasting everything. And in 31, he talks about the cerebral passage, which is the Vedic hymn. Like the Virat Rupa has everything inside. So nothing in this material world exists outside of this Virat Rupa. That is the main message in throughout this text. It's like from like 21, like from that text, almost like end of this chapter, he is actually going to mention about the Virat Rupa of the Lord, like how Lord's different limbs is working as a different, is going to function in different parts in the material world. So it's like the smile of the Lord is Maya actually. Because it's a Virat Rupa, it's a material manifestation of the Lord. So it is like the smile is actually the Maya. And then the 32, it talks about the lip, chin, breast, and back. So the best thing we can learn here is like the breast of the Lord is actually religion, and the back of the Lord is irreligion. So that is like not for a normal person, we can easily understand. Like the front breast is like a religion, and then when a person says no, it's actually like turning away from Krishna, which is the back of the Lord. And then he talks about the ocean and the hills and mountain, which is waste and stack of bones. And then it's also continues like veins, hair. Lord's air in the body is actually like trees. And then the veins, which is in his body, is river. And then when he wanted to walk, right? So when there is a movement on walking in the Virat Rupa, it is actually, the time is actually passing. Like we most of us know about the eternal time, how things are moving. It's basically the movement of the Lord. And when Virat Rupa is like trying to do thinking of doing an activity, which means it's a reaction of three material modes, how the modes act on us, right? So in 34, he talks about the clouds, which is actually the hair on the head of Lord. And initially we were talking about the hair, which is tree, which is in his body, and now it is in the head, where it is clouds, and his dress is twilight, and then his intelligence is actually the cause for the creation. Actually, like without the intelligence, the material world doesn't exist. So his intelligence is the cause for the material creation, and the mind is actually controlled by moon, and it is the thing for changes, right? And then he talks about consciousness, ego, and you can see like how everybody is situated inside the Virat Rupa and totally. So that is where he talks about, like in 37 text, he talks about like from where different social orders comes into picture, like the face, from where Brahmanas comes out, from the arms, the Kshatriyas comes out, from the thighs, the Vaishyas comes out, and feet, the Sudras comes out. And all the things, all the sacrifices, and whatever we do as a sacrifice to devatas, demigods, whatever we do is always like everything is diverted towards the Lord only. So there is nothing outside of the Lord which is existing in this material world. So he tells about like his duty as Virat Rupa is also a sacrifice and an ingredient for it, and he is the source of all the devatas also. So with that, he is actually from 38 to 39, he is actually concluding the Virat Rupa. Like until now, I have described you the Virat Rupa, and I also gave you the knowledge how a new yogi, when he is desiring for liberation, what he has to concentrate on. If a person is concentrating other than Virat Rupa, like like for advanced yogis, they will be concentrating on Paramatma Fisha. But a neophyte yogi, when they are not concentrating on the Virat Rupa of the Lord, they are actually going to go to the degradation phase. They are not going to progress in their phase. So he's like giving a caution also over there, and then he's telling like, this is I have explained you everything over here. So totally it's like we can say like it's explanation of Virat Rupa, and then he is telling about like how Ashtanga Yoga procedure is being followed in the scriptures, right? So how the yogis are going through this procedure. But what I felt when I read all these things, like actually Shukadev Goswami is trying to explain the devotional service is superior to everything. Like when he was explaining about like Harinama, how it is superior, right? So everything by chanting, one will be able to get rid of the fear of death also. It's like the most fearful thing for the entire material world living entity is like death. So for that itself is like it's taken care when we are chanting. So it's like Shukadev Goswami is actually explaining all the yoga process in order to show the superiority of the Bhakti Yoga. So his intention is like, he's not going to give him like this procedure to follow. He's actually going to give all the knowledge so that he knows like which one is the superior thing, right? So that I thought like it's a way of like giving you choices, right? So even like in Bhagavad Gita, like after all the verses, and Krishna say like, okay, I have given you everything, then you decide which one you want to do, right? So it's like that Shukadev Goswami is like giving him like lot of choices and what are the different options, but finally he's going to say like the superiority of the devotional service, and what is that he's going to get using Bhakti Yoga. So that I thought like it's a very nice thing for all of us to understand. And then he talks about like human life is about no one, it's mentioned in a lot of places like human life is like very superior. Nobody will not get this life very easily. It takes like lot of you can say millions and millions of life to get this human life. If you are not following that Bhakti Yoga process, and if you are not proceeding in the devotional service, you are actually going to land up your next life in some other species. So the only thing is it's an opportunity actually, like for us to understand like what is our relationship with Krishna. and how I can get rid of, like, why am I going through all these miseries in this material world? Why am I not like having enjoyment in my life? Why am I not feeling happiness? Like sometimes we feel small things are like our enjoyment, right? So it's not like we are enjoying. After 10 minutes, if somebody comes and asks, are you enjoying because of this? No, we are going to say like, no, just a matter of like material thing. But we have to understand like where I'm going to get I'll be getting 100% satisfaction and enjoyment. And that is where the human life is going to be an understanding for us, like where I'm going to proceed and how I'm going to get rid of this material entanglement. So the next thing is like, it's actually related to the second verse. Actually, if we come to the conclusion of like understanding what is the purpose of the human life, we will be actually escaping the Lord's external potency and will be entering into Lord's internal potency. So that way, like our human life is totally successful, right? So that's where like we all have to proceed towards. Right? So with that, I think like I spoken what I have learned little bit. I know like I am not doing justice to the thing, but please accept if I have done any mistake. And thank you so much for the opportunity. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Wow, I just must say that was super amazing. I actually always, whenever I read about Virat Rupa, it's really technical for me to understand, and how you just simply laid it all out, as like it was just a second nature to you to understand it. It was beautiful. Have you explained the different limbs and how the functions of Virat Rupa, and that whole process of the Ashtanga Yoga. And out of all this, the main point that Shukdev Goswami is trying to help us understand, or help Parikshit Maharaj understand, is that devotional service is the most superior. These other processes are there, but they're so complex and so complicated. Devotional service is so simple, and yet it is the most superior. So that's the main takeaway point that I have from this. And thank you so much for your enthusiastically, taking on this service. This is, I know, the third time, so I don't know if this is the last one, but thank you so much for all your services, Mataji. Devotees, if we have any other questions, sharings, realizations, please go ahead. I know we have very little time left, but please share something.
No, thank you again for both the Matajis. Sorry, this is Kishore Prabhu. Hare Krishna. It's again, as Mega Mataji said, it's very technical. I always struggle, and sometimes it's not easy for anyone to understand this Virat Rupa thing. So I like just skip kind of thing. I will hear, but I will not get inside it. Like last, I think we are reading third canto, sometime 10th chapter, 11th chapter. It was so scary how the devastation happens, and it's the same thing like Virat Rupa, how Arjuna felt. It's not easy to look upon or even think about it. So I don't know, but it's very wonderful. Thank you both. How you summarized these two chapters. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I also just wanted to appreciate both the speakers today, and especially Radhe Mataji's a very elaborate and a very clear presentation on this very difficult subject matter of Ashtanga Yoga and Virat Rupa meditation. And that is very satisfying. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kishore Prabhu. Thank you, Sandhya Mataji. Anyone else would like to share their realizations or sharing? If not, we can meet again next week. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And please continue to join. This is a great way to show our appreciation to Srimad Bhagavatam that has given us so much, not only from knowledge perspective, but transformation within us. So it's a great service that we can give at least something back to Srimad Bhagavatam. Thank you for your services. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. This is
Hare
very
Krishna.
satisfying hour. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Megha Mataji, for